What's up, guys? Welcome to the Crypto Savvy channel. I'm Craig, and what an exciting time to be in the markets. Let's take a look at what's going on. We're going to take a look at the Dow, S&P, DXY, Bitcoin, gold, silver, oil, and at the end, we're going to look at that BNB chart, the Binance chart compared to the FTX chart. I still believe there's something very ugly coming, so we're going to take a look at everything and see where we're at. Before we begin, make sure you guys help the YouTube algorithm out by smashing that thumbs up, leaving your comments down below, subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure your notification bells are ticked so you get notified when I post new videos. Let's take a look at the Dow. So the Dow right now, pre-markets are opening a little bit higher today. We'll see how that plays out. Either way, we did get above this 32,666 we've been talking about. If this is able to hold, our next point of resistance is around 33,000, which is our golden pocket zone. If we do get up to this range, I do expect a rejection to the downside. As you guys know, my target hasn't changed down here, about 30,222, and much lower. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you my Dow chart that we made about a year ago and see how that's looking. It is very ugly. It could get very bad, right? So let's take a look at what's going on. As of right now, we are still lingering in this area, but I do think we have much further down to go. Again, unless we break this top trend line up here, if we do break that, then everything could be bullish. Maybe the bottom's in for everything, but until that's broken, I don't believe so. S&P, as you guys know, I showed you these targets here. Looking at this rising channel, if we do break this in the next week or so, looking for about 33.67. That doesn't mean we hit 33.67 in a week. It just means if we break this trend line within a week, this is where we're headed. Timing is one of the most difficult things to get in the markets, right? Timing is the hardest part of it. Getting the targets where you're going isn't as hard. It's when will they get there? That's the hard part, right? So looking at this as a rising wedge, same thing. If you're watching here and we close the RSI below this wedge and we break this trend line, that's probably going to be a pretty decent drop, at least down to the 200 EMA around 37.40. Maybe pop back up, retest this before coming down, but this would be our target of that break if it does happen. We do break it to the upside, and same as the Dow, we break these highs. I could be wrong about the massive dump coming in all markets, right? DXY. So the DXY, I showed you guys this 5-wave count here where I do believe we could be going up in a big way for the DXY over the next few months. As of right now, it's still dropping a little bit here, but we did get our bounce at our 0.786. Now, if we do break this low, then we'll probably get one more bump up for Bitcoin, maybe come down to this 101.5 range. If we break this bottom range, then things could get very ugly. Remember what I've been talking about. They put fear into the things that they're going into while they scare you out of it. And right now, there's a lot of fear in the dollar. Remember also, if they're putting it in the news, they want you to hear it, right? What's really going on, we usually will not hear about it in the news until after the fact. So just remember that if you control the news, you control the markets, right? So they can put fear into whatever they want to get you out of. They can talk up and hype up stuff that they want to get you in so they can dump it and take your money. If you don't believe that, stick around for the markets for about a decade or so and you'll see it a little bit better. But as of right now, we did get our bounce here. Let's see what happens. I do think we got much higher to go. Remember, if this low breaks, we look for our next targets up on Bitcoin. I'll show you what I'm doing in Bitcoin also. Before we do that, take a look at my sponsor, Prime XBT. The link is down below. Definitely check them out. You can trade crypto, forex, gold, silver, oil, S&P, Dow Jones, pre-markets, post-markets, all on one exchange without having multiple exchanges. There's also a copy trading section where you can trade for free and you can actually win tradable funds. You click it right here when you get on there. Also, you can use my promo code SAVVY50 to get you up to a $7,000 bonus to use towards your margins. Savvy 25 will get you 25% off of your fees. All right, let's take a look at the monthly. So the monthly right here, our old low, we are getting rejected there still. Remember, if this breaks, we could come up to our next low up here. We're going to take a look at where that's at. Here's a trend line I drew off of these 2 wicks here. That lines up with the 1.27 fib. If we were to continue to the upside here, we've almost hit the 1-to-1 extension at 29,458. But it's pretty close. You could say we hit it and we go down from here, but if we do get above this 29.5, then we could be going as high as 31.5 to 32, and I'll show you why I got those targets. Now, if you guys remember in the last video, I told you I had my stops at break even at 28.5. I did get stopped out. What I did this morning, once we broke and we got this little rejection here, I re-entered a short and put my stops where I originally had them at 29.2. If I get stopped out, no big deal. I would be looking for a short up in these areas, 31.5. Now, let's take a look at these measured moves here. So this one, looking at this white trend line and this bottom yellow trend line, right? Looking at this as a falling wedge, we put that to the breakout, and that's where we got this first target range, which we did hit. We spiked above this a little bit. That could have been a stop hunt, which stopped me out at 28.5, but I didn't lose anything. Now, re-entering here, I could lose some money, but remember, guys, use risk management. And again, none of this is financial advice, but make sure you're managing your risk, right? Cut your losses quick. Ride your winners. So, all right, if we do hold above this and get our next bounce up, our next measured move here is looking at this dotted yellow trend line, looking at this as a falling wedge to where it broke out down here, and that's where we get that 31.5 range. So I'd say 31.2 to 31.6, somewhere in that range, right? I could do like all the other YouTubers and make my range like $5,000 to make it look good, but what we do is try to get as close to the target as possible. So if we do hold above here, I get stopped out at 39.2. I look for another entry to my short up in this range. Let's take a look at the 4 hour. So the 4 hour, we got our fake out down here, drop back up. Remember in the last video, I told you if we broke back above this 27.7, then we were probably going to go to the upside. Well, we did break that. What would a safe short be if we break this blue trend line again around 28? But again, we also had this target going to the upside if we broke up out of this, and that's around 30,500. That's another spot to look for a rejection. But again, I'll be looking, if I do get stopped out, I'll be looking for more shorts up at that 31.5 range, right? And again, if we start breaking these levels, we can get rid of this target now and move this down to the second blue trend line around 24.8. If we do break this, guys, I do expect a retest and coming down, but next stop after that, it's going to be around 18.9. Now, remember, when everyone's super bullish, like right now, almost everybody turned to bullish, is when you really got to watch out for what's coming. And I still believe we see new lows at the end of the year, and I'll show you why. This is my Bitcoin compared to the .com bubble, right? Had to wash out all the scam stuff in here. And I also showed you this right here. Once we broke this, told you it could be the false bottom. We did break it. I didn't catch the bottom. Really, I don't care. I like to trade the trend. The trend is down still. So what I do is I look for shorts in a downtrend. As of right now, this did not play out exactly. So this count may be invalidated, right? No big deal, because actually what we have here is still looking like just a false bottom before a rejection up. Remember, we could go a little bit higher, but I still believe our targets are going to be between 35 and 7,500 by the end of the year. I've been saying that since December 2nd, 2021. I still believe that to be the case. Now, you can see this similarities right here after we broke. We had these two peaks, two bottoms, higher high, and then a capitulation down, right here. I think that is definitely what we could be seeing here. Also, this is a bubble pop pattern, right? I'm showing you bubble pop patterns and how they work. So as you can see here, this big rally here in Nintendo right before the collapse, right? When was that? That was in April when it topped out here. We are in the end of March, close to April. So we could get that one more pop up, but here is my buy zone down in the bottom. Like I said, 35 to 8,500, somewhere in that range is where I see the true bottom after the false bottom here. Let's take a look at Sony bubble pop. Remember, it's been 20 years and Sony never made a new all-time high. It's been 15 years and Nintendo never made an all-time high. But as you can see, we had a bunch of false bottoms here in Sony. So if we're in a big, long bear market, could look something like this. Take a look at oil. So this oil chart is about 7-8 months old. I told you once we broke this, look for 62.54. We almost tagged it, not quite. So I do believe we still come down and at least tag that. If that breaks, looking for around 27. Tesla, as you guys know, I'm looking to be a buyer at 50 to 60 bucks in Tesla when this market continues to the downside. Gold, this chart also is this one's about 2 years old, right? We've been looking for 1560. I'm still looking for that range, right? That could be the bottom there if we do hit that. If that breaks, I'm looking for 1450, and if that breaks, it's really, really ugly. But so far, all we did came up, retested this channel, got rejected on it. I do think we continue to the downside. We still have not made any new all-time high. Silver, my silver chart is also about 2 years old. Same thing. Been looking for about 1560. Still looking for that. We have not made a new all-time high. We have not broken these highs. If this breaks, now this is where I'm looking for the bottom, 1560. But if that breaks, there's nothing really until about $7, $8 maybe. And let's take a look at the Great Depression over here on the right compared to where we're at now. If this was to happen, this is going to get very ugly for all markets. Is it guaranteed to happen? Nothing's guaranteed, but is it possible? Very possible, guys. I would just keep this in mind, if nothing else. Now, let's take a look at the BNB chart, the Binance chart. This is what I've been talking about, and I told you we could be up in these ranges for a few months, but I do believe this is going to crash. What's going to happen with it? I have no idea. News is noise, in my opinion. It's just an excuse of why the charts move. So I am still looking for BNB to have a hard crash, Binance to be in some kind of trouble. It's not looking good. So anyways, that's what I'm looking for. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Do not forget to smash those likes, help the YouTube algorithm. Leave your comments down below, and make sure you subscribe and tick your notification bell. Let's get these markets.